The podcast today is about the wealth equation. Okay, so this is about the rules, mechanics, and the discipline of becoming wealthy. We will do a lot of definition more about what it means to be rich, what it means to be wealthy, and what is this wealth equation that I'm talking about? Because if you understand what the wealth equation is, then you know what the levers are that you can use in order to be wealthy. So this is the first podcast. The topic is the wealth equation. Hopefully, it is going to be useful for you and will spread light and cheer for all of you. So think of this. Imagine that you are walking on the beach, and then suddenly there is a genie. You've heard of this story. You find a bottle or a diya, and the genie appears when you open the bottle, and it says, "My good friend, you let me free. Here's a choice that I give you, and the choice is this: I give you $1 million now, or I tell you how to make $1 million. Which one would you choose? You make this choice now. You let me free. I give you $1 million now, just now, or I tell you how to make $1 million. Which one would you choose?" Now, $1 million are why I choose the term $1 million is because typically somebody who has $1 million will be considered as wealthy. That is, even in India, $1 million is about 8 crore rupees of cash. All right, so feel free to say, what would you want? Do you want $1 million, or do you, write in the chat box? I'll see. You want $1 million, or how to make $1 million? Feel free to write. What would you choose? The genie appears to you. Do you want to make $1 million just now, or how to make $1 million? Option 1, how to make $1 million. Option 2, take $1 million. There's at least one choice which says that the bird in hand is better than two in the bush. Okay, so most people say they want to know how to make $1 million. So here is your genie. But the story continues. So the guy who picked up the bottle said that why don't you give me the $1 million now? I'll figure out what to do. And the genie said, here is $1 million, and poof, the genie vanished. Now the moment this guy had just taken the $1 million with him, what appeared was a group of pirates. A group of pirates appeared. They found this guy on this beach, and they saw, okay, this guy has $1 million, and they said, give me your $1 million or your life. And the man was back to square one. So the point of the story, this small story, is that it is, in my view, and there is no right or wrong answer, but in my view, I would always choose the ability to make $1 million as more important, as more valuable than $1 million. There are a large number of people who have received money, and I've met a lot of people who say, life would be great if I win a lot, and I would be different. If just I had a lot of money, then I would be happy, and so on and so forth. But the fact is, there have been people who made a lot of money. They received a lot of money, and then suddenly they lost it all, just like they lost to the pirates. And then there are people who know how to make it. Even if you lose it, you can make it back again. And this is also, the parallel is, there's an adage which says, you give a man fish, for lunch, you eat him you equip him for a day, you help him for a day. But if you teach a man how to fish, you feed him for his entire life. That is the fundamental difference between the genie, the choice that the genie gave. Now, you see this person, right? This person was the photograph of the person. You know who he is, right? He is Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was, once upon a time, one of the richest people in the world. He was one of the most celebrated singers, and his just one album called The Thriller, earned about $134 million. And he made over $1 billion in just 1 year. I know having read that report. And yet, this man was, when he died, he was bankrupt. So he had more than $1 million. He had 1,000 times $1 million. What was our definition of being rich? What is generally accepted definition of being rich and wealthy? He had 1,000 times more. And yet, when he died, he was bankrupt. The question is, here's another story. When I started my career, my first salary was 5,000. And one day I was passing by, at that time, I started working in 1994. At that time, there would be these central printers which would be available. And today you have a printer almost every desk, whoever wants it. But there would be these central printers on the land, and people would give commands and they would print stuff. So one day I was passing by this central printer, a big print, huge print, and I found a salary slip of a manager. So I was getting $5,000 as a newbie, as a person who was starting his career in that company. And I found that this person was making around 20,000 rupees, his salary. I said, wow, 20,000 rupees. If I make 20,000 rupees, I'll be retiring very soon. Well, that was that. I think I started making 40,000 rupees as a salary in about 4 years' time, and I'm still working and still have, I think some difficulty in retiring. So and I was very serious that it's not that I'm uneducated or something like that. I was an engineer even then, fairly educated from a top class university, Delhi University, and yet I thought that if I got $20,000, I would be rich, I would be wealthy, I would know what to do with all this money. I could retire very, very quickly. I'll become wealthy. And I reached that, as I said, in 4 years. And this. I've been working for the last 28 years. That still hasn't happened. So the question is why? Why does this happen? Why do people who have a lot of money or get multiple times their first salary? By the way, when I was making 5,000 rupees, I didn't know what to do with that money as well. I was saving all of that. In fact, the first year, I saved about 50,000 rupees. And after the end of the first year, I bought a 486 computer with a massive, it was top class. I got it assembled. It is an assembled computer, the 486. I paid around 52,000 rupees, all from my money, the money that I had done. So in fact, over 12 months, I had spent not more than 8,000 bucks, saving everything over there. And I then spent it all on getting that computer with a massive hard disk memory of 600 MB, okay? And I used that. I was very proud of that asset that I created because I wanted to be connected to the world, this new world which was opening up. I wanted to learn about computers, and therefore I thought, rather than just be waiting for stuff in office, I would have this and spend time learning about this stuff. Anyway, so I didn't know what to do with this money. That 5,000 rupees was big money for me. And then this 20,000, which I, when I saw about one year into this life, I saw this guy getting 20,000 rupees. I said, Vince, what does this guy do with this money? Huge. If I get 20,000 rupees, I'll probably, retire. And you know what the story is, right? I haven't. Okay, so there is what does it mean to be rich? And what we are going to do this definition. So there is this first equation. This is a simple but a profound equation. This is that if income over expense is greater than 1, then you are rich. If income over expense is less than 1, then you are poor. And one can't be wealthy without being rich. So which means that if Amdani Athani Khacha Rupair, then you are going to be poor. And my grandfather used to say that if you earn 1 rupee, save even 2 paisa. But then you will be okay. But if you spend 1 rupees and 2 paisa, then you are going to be in trouble. But I think that he was being overtly conservative. We need to be a little more aggressive, and I'll talk about all of that as we proceed. So you can't be wealthy without being rich, and one must know that being rich is not equal to wealth. rich does not equate to wealthy. So we'll come to this, what is meant by being wealthy, and when the wealth definition or when the wealth equation comes in, we'll talk about this. But the first equation which builds towards wealth is income, and over expense should be greater than 1. Now, why do we call it a profound equation? Why is money being important? And seriously, the reason is because money is an essential part. We are not sadhus, we are not monks. Money is an important part of our lives, and therefore being financially free is extremely important. And if we don't understand the mechanics of money and how it operates, we may know how to run computers and write code and things like that. But if we don't know how the mechanics of this works, then we can always be, not taking the right decisions. And I want you to be, this is the equation which is at the foundation of financial freedom. And financial freedom is fundamentally freedom. It's about moksha. So freedom, financial freedom is the freedom from the need to work for money. For a lot of time, people, and it's not a very good situation to be in, where people need to work for money. It is better if you work because you want to work. You are working and you're making life decisions free from this money business. And I really wish you to be free. I want to be free myself. And this is one of my desires, and I desire this for you. So this is our highest idea in this life, in this culture, is the idea of moksha. Moksha means freedom, right? Freedom, finally the freedom from all desires, but definitely the freedom to work for money. If you are not free, then by definition we are slaves, and it's not good to be a slave. So this is a very profound equation, the one that I'm talking about. Income over expense should be greater than 1. If it is greater than 1, then it is rich, then you are rich. If this equation is less than 1, then you are poor. Okay, so therefore there are 2 ways to become rich. What is it? What are the 2 ways? 1, increase income, or reduce expenses. So the question is, why does a person who earns a lot of money, who has a huge income, why does he still become poor? So I heard about this case. I don't know whether this is right or wrong. So one is Michael Jackson is one case. He died with, in penury. He was bankrupt. Then there was this guy who won about 5 crore rupees in Kaun Banega Crorepati, and then he almost lost all of it, or now is subsisting on a small amount of income. He's not died yet like Michael Jackson. Then there was this guy, the famous boxer, Mike Tyson. He earned billions of dollars, and then he also became bankrupt. So the question is, why after having earned so much, or when people like me, for example, as I said, 4 years into my working career, I was getting a salary which was 4 times my starting salary, and I thought I didn't know what to do with my first salary. And then why didn't it lead to richness or wealth creation? The fundamental reason is, as the income increased, expenses increased more. So 2 ways. Before you become wealthy, you must become rich. One of the ways by this equation is you increase your income, and the other is you reduce your expenses. Now, people may say that, how can I reduce my expenses? I'm making so little. And that's where the crux of the matter is. Regardless of your income, if you want to get out of the rut, a vicious cycle where you are earning 1 rupee and you are spending 1 rupee 2 paisa or 1 rupee 5 paisa, and you'll be always in a cycle which pushes you more and more into poverty. And you need to figure out either the way to increase your income or to reduce your expenses. Now, it's difficult to increase income very, very easily, but expense, because that income has some relationship with others, but expenses are almost 100% within your control, and you can, regardless of whichever place you are in life, you can always reduce your expenses. Okay, and then that will start your process of becoming financially free. So what are the types of expenses? People may say that, I make so little, how can I save something? Well, we must look at what is expense, and then those expenses can be brought to control. Like there are basic needs: food, water, shelter, clothing. Now the second one is also almost like basic need, but it's slightly more than basic needs, which is security. So the first security that you need is health insurance. And then if you get married or you have dependents, then you take, life insurance or something like that. You have some other assets, like a home or something like that, and you need a home insurance or a house insurance, fire insurance and stuff like that. If you're living on rent, then you don't need all of that as well. Or robbery insurance or something like that. So first is basic needs, and then some insurances. Health insurance is probably the first insurance that any professional should take. Life insurance you should take only if, you get married or you have dependents. If you get married and you're still independent, then not necessary. If your wife or husband is also working, then not really necessary. So other insurance like life insurance is only required to be spent if you have dependents. You might be unmarried, but if your family is dependent on you, maybe parents or grandparents or somebody like that who are dependent on you, then you might consider even having a life insurance. The point is you have a life insurance or you spend on life insurance only if there are dependents that you care about and who would become destitute if something was to happen to you. So then you take life insurance. Otherwise, not necessary. Investments are expenses on creating assets. This is another outflow that happens. And then there are discretionary expenses, luxuries, or spends on maintaining an image, flashiness. These are all discretionary. So whatever doesn't come in 1, 2, or 3, everything else is discretionary expense. Movies, hotels, outside food, vacations, travel, mobiles, people changing mobiles every 6 months, automobiles, jewelry, iPhone 14, iPhone 15, 16, whatever, 12, 13, 11, flashy clothes, perfumes, deos, gifts, debts and EMIs. All of this are discretionary and the place where you can look at where you can reduce your expenses. Okay, so the first rules of the equation: always spend lesser than income. Now somebody, I was having this conversation with a person and said, there was a time when we weren't even able to have three square meals a day. We were that problem. And I said, look, why do you even aspire for 3 square meals a day? One could be to blame and say here, we want to get out of this situation. But the fact is that human beings don't require to eat 3 times a day. So you could say, in fact, if we look at in our culture or our gurus or teachers, they advise us that a yogi should eat only once. Similarly, once a day. Buddha advised, and all the monks who follow Buddhism, they eat once a day. Jain monks, they eat once a day, I believe. And then, not only this, if we look at even modern science and research, it says, you can look this up, it's called 1 meal a day. OMAD is a way of living which allows you to be far more healthy, disease-free, and so on and so forth. So, in fact, my grandfather used to say, कि एक बार खाए योगी, 2 बार खाए भोगी, 3 बार खाए रोगी. So one who eats once is a yogi a day. Somebody who eats twice is a bhogi, and then he will fall ill sometimes or the other. But somebody who eats 3 times definitely is going to fall ill far more frequently. And this is just to draw a parallel. But the fact is, or just an example, the fact is that whatever it is that wherever we are, we can reduce. So it's in our hands if we so desire. Or today, for example, guys, if you can put yourselves on mute, the other thing that could be done, so a lot of places we spend a lot of money on automobiles. I have seen my grandparents go to their offices on bicycles. In China, when I visited, I think about 15 years ago, or about 15 years ago, no, not 15, maybe about 20 years ago, people were using bicycles to travel. Even in Netherlands, people were going to bicycles go to work on bicycle, and they would travel large number of distances, 10, 11 kilometers, and so on and so forth, both ways. So there are ways. If you want to reduce your expenses, you will find ways to do it, right? And if you can't, then it will be that much more difficult for you to leverage the wealth equation. Remember, we have still not reached the wealth equation. The wealth equation operates when you become, rich. And in order to be rich, you must first have an expense which is lower than your income. There is also something which is called the marshmallow test. And I want to talk about this in just a moment. This got to do with success. So the marshmallow test was done by a group of psychologists, or actually a celebrated psychologists, and you can Google this whenever you have some time. So what they did was they took a bunch of children and they said an option was given to them. And the option was that here are two marshmallows, and they would get to a bunch of kids either about 5 years old or 6 years old, and they said, you can have one now, but there's another option, which is that I'll go outside this room, I'll come back after 10 or 15 minutes, have some work, and if I come back and you haven't had that one, you can have both of them. Now, kids being kids, there were some kids who immediately ate one, right? They couldn't wait. And then there were others who waited for the guy to go. They didn't eat the first one, and after 15 minutes when the guy came back, they got both of them. And marshmallows are like a sweet, so in US. And they followed this bunch of kids, a large number of them, through their lives. And what they figured out was that those who were able to delay their gratification of what they wanted. See, everybody wanted marshmallows, okay? So everybody wants to be rich, or have things and so on and so on. But those kids who were able to wait for that 15 minutes, delay their gratification, they became wealthy, while those who were unable to, they were not that successful. Okay, so delayed gratification is a key thing, which allows you to have that rule which will allow you to spend lesser than what your income is, and then create wealth out of it. Okay, so how do we increase income? So one was how do you reduce your expenses? We talked about this. Then how do you increase your income, which is the numerator of the equation. So income is of two types. One thing is called active income, and then there is passive income. So active income is income for which you have to work, and passive income is income for which you do not have to work on an active basis. So passive income is income that you earn even while you sleep. Active income is that which stops the moment you stop work. Okay, salaries are typically like active income. So how do you increase your total income? Again, there are two ways. You increase your total income by increasing your active income and also increasing your passive income. So the question is, why are we talking about active income and passive income? Because that's fundamentally got to do with this equation called the wealth equation. And I'm going to talk about this. What is the wealth equation? The wealth equation is when passive income is greater than your expenses. If passive income by expense is greater than 1, then you are wealthy. That is the definition of wealth. Which means that if all my expenses are going to be met by my passive income, that even if I don't work, then it doesn't mean that I don't work or I stop working, but I don't have to work to meet my expenses, then I can be wealthy. In fact, in India, a lot of the monks are called swamis or masters. The reason they are called masters, or sometimes in North India they would be also called Maharaj, even though because their needs are so small, their expenses are so small, and then the income that they receive from their trust or whatsoever, it is enough to meet their expenses, and so they are wealthy. They're like kings of the world, Maharaj. They are not driven by debts and EMIs and things like that. So they are free. So passive income, when is greater than expense or expenses, whether they're emanating from your wife, children, family, parents, grandparents, etc., whatever that expense is, if your passive income is greater than this, then you are indeed wealthy. So what do we do? How do we already talked about what we can do to reduce expenses. The second thing could be what is meant by this passive income and how do we increase this. So there are the rules for the passive income. So first thing is, this is not true for everyone. There are ways which are even outside this. But the easiest one which applies to everybody, including me, okay, is this: first save and invest at least 10% of your income. So if you are making 10,000 rupees, you're in intern, we don't pay lesser than this. Save 1,000 rupees. You first save, then spend. Imagine that you are getting only 9,000 and then manage within that. If you are making 30,000 rupees, 20,000 rupees, first save 2,000 rupees. Imagine you are getting only 80 and then manage within that. You're making 30, first save at least 20. And I'm not saying it should be only 10%, because the fact is, the genesis of this podcast is because I spoke to a fair bit of young people, and I found that there were very, very few who were smart about, or who had a perspective about how to handle their money. And then continue to increase percentage that you save and invest as you proceed in your life. Continue to increase this percentage. So you begin with 10%, and then you continue to increase every time you get an increment. Increase the percentage that you're investing. You get an increment of 10%. Let's say you're making 20,000 bucks, you get 10%. You're getting 2,000 rupees more. At least 50% of that should go into this corpus that you are saving and investing. At least. So then it will become, you're saying 2,000, then you will get 3,000. But it should be better because you were able to manage with 80, so save some more. So maybe save 2,500, 1,500. Okay, then buy health insurance, life insurance only if there are dependents. Do not think, a lot of people start thinking around the age of 30 or something like that they need to take a loan for a house, car, because the car is an asset. These are not assets, these are not investments. Whatever you take a loan for, it takes away your freedom. And freedom is the highest purpose for which we exist. You must not allow your freedom to go away. So loans take away freedom. Don't take loans. You want to buy a house, get to a place where you have enough, where you can buy that house straight off. I still stay in a rented house. Okay, so it's not a problem. It allows you freedom. Like I can leave my house, go anywhere I want. If I want to go tomorrow to US, no problem. And then invest in investments that give you the best returns. So you must know what are those investment criteria which give you the best returns. And for that, you must learn how to evaluate investments and then be a disciplined investor. We'll talk about some of this as we go along. Okay, so what are the typical errors? These are typical errors, not that which others make. All these 10 that I've listed, all of those errors that I have made myself. So I understand. And some of these I also heard people saying when I was speaking to them last few days. But I laugh at, when I'm saying whatever I'm saying, and I look back at my life, I laugh at whatever foolish statements I was making. I am unable to save. And there was a time I said, I am unable to save. Nothing. Then I was keeping all my money in whatever money I had, I was keeping all of that in a savings account. Then there were some FDs and RDs, or fixed deposits and recurring deposits. I then started to invest in LIC because I was getting into a taxable bracket, and I said I don't want to pay tax, so I'm going to save. I'm going to invest in LIC, and therefore I will save my taxes. That's not what you use LIC for. That's not how you use insurance, and it was not a very wise decision. I didn't have a demat account for a long period of time. What's a demat account? It's where you can trade shares, stocks, and things like that. Buy shares and properties and gold and so on and so forth. It's just a very, very powerful account. You would see that over the last 10 years, the government tried to do something to ensure that people had accounts. A lot of people, I think some 60 crore or 45-50 crore bank accounts were open. Just like a bank account is an empowering tool, similarly, a demat account is a very, very powerful tool. Just having a savings account is not enough. You must have a demat account. It empowers you, provided you know how to use it. Second, I've taken a flat or property using a loan, and I think it is an asset. I pay EMIs. That's really foolish. Then I buy shares. I can talk about why this is also stupid. For me, I don't think it's if you are doing buying and selling of shares, it's not a great thing to do because it takes your energy away from what you need to focus on. You become an active trader, or I do day trading very well. I've seen people do, even my colleagues, some of them, I've seen them do day trading. And it takes away time from what you really need to focus on, your learner, your profession. So don't do that. Okay, it takes a lot of time and energy away from that. And my only investments are in property. I also heard this one, and for a lot of time, they were true even for me. I first saved money, a lot of money, for many years, and then when I buy some property, land or something like small parcel of land. Okay, these are all big no-nos, right? And if that's not clear, why some of them are issues, feel free to raise questions and in the chat box. Okay. Whenever you have a question, put it in the chat box and try to address. So what is the relation? There's a new AI. AI is active income, not artificial intelligence. What is the relationship between AI and PI? The easiest way, which applies to most of us, to increase passive income is to increase your investment. In order to invest, you must have an investable surplus. An investable surplus is equal to active income minus expenses. That's how it begins, right? We are not born with a passive income. Typically, most of us are not. There are some who are born rich or who have been, who have trust funds or parents, but there are very, very few. 1 in 10,000 people, right? So your investable surplus is fundamentally your active income minus expenses. Reduce your expenses, increase your active income. We already talked about how to reduce expenses. How do you increase your active income? And active income is a function of the value that you are able to for others. And the value that you are creating for others is a function of the knowledge that you have, or that I have, true for me as well. And skills and knowledge is that you have acquired or I have acquired is a function of the time and focus devoted to learning and excelling in your chosen profession or in my chosen profession. Does that make sense? Okay, so the passive investment should not take too much time and attention. Because why? Because if passive investment is taking too much time and attention, it is taking that time and focus which you could have devoted to learning and excelling in your chosen profession. So the primary thing is you should be devoted to your skill, to your profession. It is that will create the magnificent difference. Okay. So excel in your chosen profession, be the best, choose to be the best, be devoted to your profession. Understand the difference between somebody who is quite good in, let's say, cricket, and plays at the district level, is a district champion, versus somebody who is a national level champion or a national level player. Not even a champion, national level player. The guy who's a national level player would earn in crores. This guy, not that much. Maybe 1,000 rupees a match or something. So that's the difference between active income and that's the relationship between active income and passive income. If you want to increase your passive income, you will have to increase, while you will with whatever income you have, you must have something which is passive income. You must start investing then. In order to increase this thing, you must increase your active income. In order to increase your active income, you must be excellent in whatever it is that you are doing. Be the best in what. You're a salesman, a salesperson, be the best salesperson ever. You are an accountant, be the best one ever. You are a key account manager, be the best. Try to be the best one ever. Be devoted to that. That would mean that you, just like if you were to invest in shares, you would read about it 1 or 2 hours every day. Similarly, otherwise you can't do that. So similarly, you need to invest in yourself, in your chosen profession. So read 1 or 2 hours every day. Alright, the genie returns. So here's a choice. Which choice will you do? The genie comes back and says, I will give you 1 million USD today, or a magic 1 rupee coin, not a dollar, 1 rupee coin that will double every day for only the next 30 days. Which option would you choose? Ask. Show, you can write in the chat box and we'll see. Second option. Nobody wants $1 million. There's 1 rupee here. 1 rupee doubling every day for the next. Okay. Leo says he'll take the $1 million. Nobody else wants the $1 million. Remember, this is 1 rupee only. 1 Kishore, because it's going to be PR. Anybody else? Quick. Raghunandan will take 1. Okay, 1 and 2. No, only one choice is available, sir. Which one would you choose? Either you choose 1 or you choose 2. Both are not available. Either you will have $1 million right now, right here, right now, or I give you a magic 1 rupee coin. This will multiply only for the next 30 days. Every day, it will double. Okay, Shiva chooses 2. Anybody else? Okay, alright, so this has got nothing to do with feelings. Alright, so I'm going to show why you should choose. The question is why you should choose, why you should make the choice that you are choosing. And here it is. So this is what the genie told you. This is the second option. First option was $1 million. $1 million is about 8 crore rupees. 8.2 CR. And this was the second option, which was that you begin on day 1 with 1 rupee. Then on day 2, it doubles, it becomes 2 rupees. Then in day 3, this doubles and becomes 4. And fourth day, it doubles and it becomes 8 rupees. 5, and it becomes 16. And sixth day, it becomes 32. And so on and so forth. It doubles every day. By 10th day, you have made 512 rupees. While the guy, Raghunandan, had $1 million. On 11th day, it became 1,000 rupees. Big money. But look what happens. On the 28th day, while Raghunandan had 8.2 crore rupees, you, although you chose 2, on the 28th day had 13.42 crore rupees. And on the 30th day, you had 53.68 crore rupees. On the 31st day, which is 30 days, you had 107 crore. 53 crore rupees on 30th day, 107 crores on the 31st day. Okay, so this is what is called the power of compound and the time value of money. So we must understand this and then leverage it. So we'll talk about how you can leverage. Okay, so the second choice is the wiser choice. The first one is not a great choice. Okay, so second option, which is better? I invest 5 lakh rupees in the first year and get 10 lakhs in the 9th year, or I invest 1 lakh every year for 5 years and then get 2 lakhs each in year 6, 7, 8 and 9. Okay, this is the option. First year itself, I invest 5 lakh rupees and then get 10 lakhs in the 9th year. Double. Okay, in 9 years time, I'm doubling. Then I invest, the second option is I invest 1 lakh every year for 5 years. So total amount that I've invested is 5 lakh rupees. And then I get 2 lakhs in 6, 7, 8 and 9. So which is basically I get 8 lakh rupees as return by the 9th year. Which one would I choose? Which one should I choose? Why? I'm getting only 8 lakhs. Mehul says 1. Okay.
Second is the best option, sir.
Why is second the best option?
Because the first year you invest 1 lakh, you have another 4 lakhs.
He's doing nothing with this 4 lakhs. He invested 1 lakh for 5 years. By the 5th year, he had invested 5 lakhs. And then 6, 7, 8 and 9, he got 2 lakh rupees, 8 lakh rupees. At the end of 9 years, both had invested 5 lakhs. Both options had 5 lakhs. The second option, you had 10 lakh rupees. In the first option, you had only 8 lakh rupees. You want 8 or do you want 10?
10 only I want.
So Raghu, why are you choosing 2?
Sir, money value will be coming down. So if you invest now itself, you have to like 5 lakhs now investment is next 10 years 5 lakh is value is coming down. So if you spend 1 lakh now, so you will be having 4 lakh. So you can.
So is there anything apart from a story that we have? Is there any other way that we can have an objective measure to take a decision, or will we go by feelings? Okay, so I'm going to share a way with which we can have an objective decision. And so you are going to get these kind of options many times in your life. Should I do RD? Should I do FD? Should I do something else? What should be the way in which I should be able to invest, and how do I figure in time in all of this? How does it get baked in? So you need to know at least one evaluation tool. The fact is that everybody knows about this, and they learned about it when they were in 7th standard or 8th standard. And here's the option. Okay, I'm going to talk about what that option thing is. So year 1, I invest. The option was 1 lakh rupees invested every year for 5 years, and then you get from 6th year onwards to 2 lakh rupees. Returned amount is 8 lakhs, invested amount is 5 lakhs. The screen is visible, right?
Yes, sir.
Alright, so in Invest 2, I invested 5 lakh rupees and got 10 lakh rupees in year 9. Okay, so the return multiple is 1.6 in the first case, and the second case it is 2 times. So I invested 5 and I got 10. 2 times. Which one should I choose? Is it not 2 times which is looking better? Well, the answer is, if you choose the second one, then you are not being smart. If you choose the first one, then you are smarter. Why? Because there's something called IRR, or internal rate of return. This is computed as IRR and just see which are all the cash flows that are coming in, and you get 11% over here. This is your rate of return. While in the second one, your rate of return is only 9%. You get a far better rate of return in the first option, while you get a better, just slightly better than an FD rate in the investment. Imagine if there are taxes on this return, then you might very well fall into the less than the FD rate. So you must know this, all right? So I also want to show something. We must understand compounding and time value of money. This Albert Einstein, one of the greatest scientists ever, said that compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it, and he who doesn't pays it. That's why a lot of people think of home loans and EMIs while they're paying back. They're thinking that they're doing a smart thing because they're investing. But you're basically making money for the bank or whosoever gave you the loan. You must understand what is the internal rate of return. You must understand taxes on returns and various fees for buying and selling assets. Okay, these should be your considerations when you are making investments in passive income tools. Okay, so what is meant by this compounding and what does it do? Okay, so I begin with this. I say that imagine that you are investing about 1 lakh rupees every year. This is just as an example, illustrative example only. Okay, it could very well be 50,000 rupees, etc. But with 1 lakh, computations are easy. And you do that for 30 years. And what is the impact? Let us say if you were, in one case we were doubling, right? For 30 days, and now we are talking about 30 years. In that case we were doubling, but doubling is too much to expect. Typically expectations would be, let's say 4%. 4% is what you get actually less than that in savings banking. 6% is what you can expect in an FD or an RD, or maybe get 8%. Stock market, just index funds, you can get about 10-12%. If you get better, then you can get 14, 16 or 18. What I want you to look at is that this is what 1 lakh rupees becomes after 30 years. If at 4%, it becomes 3 lakh rupees. But the same 1 lakh rupees after 30 years becomes almost 17 lakh rupees with 6% return. While 6 is only 2% more, or you can say it is 50% more, the impact is not just 50%. 8% is twice it, and the impact is not just twice. It is not that 3 lakhs will become 6 lakh rupees. No, at 8% you earn 29 lakh rupees for 1 lakh rupees. Your 1 lakh rupees becomes 29 lakh. And the fact is, most people operate around this row. If they say, most people, and it is not the smartest thing to do with your money, because there are instruments which will give you 14, 16 and 18% CAGR or compounded annually, and which means that this 1 lakh rupees, if let us say you were able to get investments which gives you 14%, you will land up this 1 lakh rupees over 30 years will become 1.39 crore rupees. With 16% it will become 2.3 crore rupees, and at 18% it will become almost 4 crore rupees. Okay? And if you were to do this, let's say 1 lakh rupees you are saving every year, what does it do and investing? So you do this, you do sum, how much do you make at 4%? At 4% you will make 56 lakh rupees if you carry that discipline. At 18%, with 1 lakh rupees invested over a period of 30 years and getting a CAGR or a compounded rate of between 16 and 18%, you would land up with around 13.5 crores to about 20.5 crores in your kitty. This is what is called, so money. So what I want you to understand is that look at this 1 lakh rupees over 30 years. 30 years is a time frame. Most people starting, let's say around 25, which means that you work till around 55. Then how much is it that you are going to get? Or if you are at 30, then at 60, just about 30 years old and you are at 60, what will you have with you at different levels? So if you invest now, you are 30 years old, this 1 lakh rupees you invest, there's a possibility of that becoming 3.78 crores. You just leave it and it gets 18% CAG. Okay, and look at this. If you don't do this now, and let's say you do this after 10 years, okay, now, so this now 1 lakh rupees has only 20 years to run. So over here, it had 30 years to run. Now this 10 lakh rupees has only 20 years to run. So instead of this 1 lakh becoming 4 crores, 3.78 crores, it becomes only 60 lakh rupees. So there's a time value of money. So the earlier you start, the better it is. Alright, and then there is the last one, which is something that everybody can do. Okay, so this is, I called it the Surya Dashmi Crorepati scheme, which is that you every month, let us say you save 1,000 rupees. Begin your life with saving 1,000 rupees only. And then every year you save 1,000 additional rupees. As you get an increment, you save an additional 1,000. So after 13 months, it becomes 2,000. And this at a compounded rate of 16%. What does it do? It makes you, this 1,000 rupees becomes 1 crore rupees after 240 months, right? So this is 1,000 rupees which is about 20 years. So in 20 years, this 1,000 rupees and which is being saved and compounded, you would have invested around 25.2 lakh rupees over a period of 20 years, and you increased every year by 1,000 rupees. This would become 1.02 crores. So the net what we are trying to say, or what I'm trying to say, is this. That you should save and invest, and you should know which are the assets to invest in. RDs, FDs, there are better funds with better tools which are available. There's something called ETS, or exchange traded funds, mutual funds, ELSS, retirement funds. And I would insist that people begin with a retirement fund. And the moment you start working, and if you have something, today retirement funds are available where you can invest with as little as 10,000 bucks or something. There are two kinds of people in the world: one who work for money, and in this case, money is the master; and second, who make money work for them. Money is the servant. Choose the second one, and then you have some option of becoming rich. Okay, before I go to the final rules, I'm going to close this session today. Just a minute. I wanted to show you how do you choose some of this. So I've done this exercise. You go to Policy Bazaar and find retirement plans. I don't have a retirement plan. Okay, so this is again something like I laugh at now. Ignorance is not any benefit, right? It gives you no benefit at all. Life does not treat it well. Now I am only talking about 16-18%. So I've done this exercise. Let's say you are able to invest 10,000 rupees a month. If you are not able to invest 10,000 rupees a month, today actually you have tools which are available where you can invest every day. You can invest every day with as little as 50 rupees or 100 rupees or something like that. Imagine that you are able to save only, let's say, 3,000 rupees and you pay 12 years. You just pay for 12 years, which is till 2036. And you start getting pension when you return, 60 years. So with one of these, which is ICICI Prudential, it is given around 47.3% return over the last 10 years. What's the pension that you are going to get? This is going to be 3.8 lakh rupees per month, tax free. At HDFC Life, which gives half of this, you are going to get 65,000 rupees per month, 15.9%. Max Life, 10-year returns is 23.3%. And you get 1.9 lakh rupees per month for life till the time you live, from 60 years onwards to till the time you live. You can be rich. And for most people, 3.8 lakh rupees per month or 2 lakh rupees per month, when you don't have to do anything else, is being well. So do look at retirement funds. I don't have a retirement fund. Nobody taught me. Nobody told me. And but this is good. This is cool. So all that you can do is start early. I'm now telling this to my children, that the moment they start working, they should put it over here. And then as they go on, they can have more funds which are available, which don't allow you to, which don't make you spend a lot of time in figuring out where to invest. Just go to one of these sites, figure out which are the top 3 or 4 which are giving the best returns. And past is a good indicator. While they will say that past is not an indicator or a guarantee of performance, which is true. It's not a guarantee. But if a fund is doing very well, or a company is doing very well, let's say for example Reliance has been doing very well for the last 20 years. the last 10 years, it is quite likely that it will continue to do. It's also true for human beings that if people have been toppers throughout, you will find that likely they will continue to be toppers throughout. There will be exceptions. And in order to take care of those exceptions, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Divide your money that you are investing in 2 to 3 or maybe at least 3 or 4 different funds, which are the top ones, performing consistently over the last 10-15 years and over different time periods. So good performance in 3 years, good performance in 5 years, good performance in 10 years. Choose those funds, put their money, forget. Just continue to put as an SIP and you will do exceptionally well. Alright, so final rules and discipline. Be devoted to your profession. Learn and excel. This will help you build your active income. Okay? And that means that you should spend 1 to 2 hours every day learning and differentiating yourself from others. Save and invest in disciplined manner. Use SIPs. Everyone can be an investor. I now like to think of myself as an investor. But the fact is, I could have been an investor right from the day when I started working. And the fact is, some of the people that I spoke to, young people, they are investors today in their first job. But that's not true for everyone. Choose to invest. Start early with your first salary. Invest every month or week or day. There are options which are available. The discount broking houses like Zerodha or 5paisa.com or Upstocks or Grow and all of these. Very, very minimal costs. And then you can buy these mutual funds and ETFs and things like that. Buying life insurance, buy security with insurance. First, take the health insurance. Don't just depend on the company providing you whatever it is providing you. Yes, company has health and life, but choose yourself for yourself. If buying life insurance, buy only term insurance. With every increment, invest a greater percentage. Avoid loans that make you a slave. Don't be a slave. Invest in passive investment assets that give the best returns and do not put all your eggs in one basket. Alright, with these rules, and if you leverage the wealth equation, you will become wealthy very, very soon. And with that, we come to the end of the podcast. I would be happy if there are any questions, shoot in the chat box and I will take them. Or we can pick it up the next time. Any questions? Yes, CAGR. Okay, so we can pick up these, so there are CAGR is compounded annual growth rate. So in 8th standard, you would have heard about compound interest, right? So if you invest 1,000 rupees now and it becomes 10,000 rupees after 3 years, what is the compounded rate of interest that you have got? That's CAGR. Alright then, I hope this was useful to you and this will help you to become wealthy. I wish you all the wealth. I wish you wealth, not because...
Sure, sir, sorry to interrupt. Like for equity, health insurance, if we are making use of paying the health insurance for example, say for 1 year, it will take around 10 to 12,000 rupees. Whereas if we don't utilize it, it will go waste. That's what my sense is. Because here what will happen, we will pay 12,000 rupees and if we admit it in the hospital only, we can make use of it. Or else if we don't use it in a particular year, it will go, they will absorb the money and we'll get nothing out of it.
That's again a wrong way of thinking. Whether it is health insurance or life insurance. Insurance is for security. It's like installing an anti-theft camera. And you say that if no thief came, then I wasted that money. The reason why you pay the money for insurance, whether it is car insurance or vehicle insurance, etc., is that if there is an accident, then the costs of that are humongous, which take you away from your active income, from all your savings. They eat up all your savings and take up all your investable surplus. Insurance is a very small price to pay to ensure that in case you fall ill, for example, you suddenly don't empty all your savings and all your investments. It should be taken as just an expense. Don't seek returns from insurance. There is no return on insurance. You should not seek return on insurance. If there is insurance, let's say LIC for example, why is that a bad idea? Because the moment you take insurance or mutual funds which give you a life cover, there is a huge mortality cost that they build in. You are paying for it, and that is not getting paid. That is not getting invested. So if you are buying insurance, buy only pure insurance, term insurance for life. use investment. Investment is separate from life insurance. Keep these two separate. Insurance, you should not seek a return. Do not seek a return on insurance. Only you should see that in case you require, how easy it for you or your dependents. In case of health, how easy is it for you to access that insurance money? Or in case of life, for your dependents, whether they'll give or not. That reliable. That's all. It's not waste. If lock is not waste, it prevents thieves from coming in. Similarly, any untoward incident, insurance helps you to keep it, reduce the impact of that. Otherwise, people fall in and they come onto the roads. I've seen friends who earned more than me come onto the road asking for money. Okay. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for spending the time with me. I hope this was useful and will bring you all that is auspicious. I wish you all well. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.